Hello and welcome to computer class. My name is Dave and today we're talking about HTML directory structures. So what is a directory? Um, it is the way that an operating system's file structure is laid out. And so basically uh, on a computer, files are stuck into folders, and those files are able to communicate and link up with each other because of the way that they are organized. And the directory structure helps the code navigate between the files and folders and find everything. And that's basically what a directory is. It keeps everything organized so we can find things, and also so that things can talk to each other. And websites are no different. They have directories as well, so that everything can be uh, linked together. Files are typically displayed in a hierarchical tree structure. And so, to be simple about it, the folders um, are where HTML documents are stored, pictures are stored, videos are stored, all sorts of files that are assets for the website. The root folder is the top level folder for the website. It's usually named something like website.com, the domain name, like whatever the name of your website is. And it contains all the other files and folders for the website. There are subfolders within this folder, and most web developers will create subfolders based on certain items in the website directory. So it can be different for all websites, but usually simple websites include 5 subfolders: CSS for cascading style sheets, JS for JavaScript, IMG for images, fonts, and maybe perhaps a pages folder if the web page has more than one page. Each section of the site is placed into separate folders, and this helps organize the files. Keep in mind the names of the folders are usually, and files by the way, are usually lowercase because it is easier to type when navigating the directory. And you'll see that in a second when we do it. That being said, the home page, or the major file that connects everything together, that's kind of the hub, and it's uh, inside the main folder, the main root folder, is called index.html. Web servers are usually set up to return the index.html file if no file name is specified. So it's important that you name this file or the homepage of your website index.html. Some rules for naming the files and folders on your website: you must use underscores or dashes instead of spaces. No spaces on the web. Um, you can um, you can't use certain characters because they are reserved for HTML. For instance, the space or the greater than, less than symbol, the angle brackets, curly brackets, or the quotation marks are all reserved for HTML, so you can't use them in the folder or file names. You can use, however, these characters A to Z, upper and lowercase, the underscore, and the dash, which is specifically used usually when people are trying to write a couple words together, and that's the space. Instead of using a space, they use a dash or an underscore. You can use the @ symbol, the question mark, and the equal sign, but I would stay away from the @ symbol, question mark, and equal sign because it's just confusing. Like, why would you use that in the name? Try to stick with A to Z and the underscore and dash symbols when naming things. So when laying out a directory, here's usually a simple directory based on the information we just heard. You'd have a root folder, website.com, whatever it is, with your index.html file in it, and then your folders, IMG, CSS, JS, fonts, and pages. And pages is optional depending on how big your website is. And here you can see in the File Explorer, as I have here on screen, that's what it would look like. If you had a more complex directory, which you probably will end up making at some point, inside of your website.com, your root folder, you would have your index.html file, which would connect to your pages folder, which could have multiple pages in it, which then could have pages connected to those pages. You could have a video folder. You could have an image folder with lots of images in it. You could have a CSS folder with lots of style sheets in it. You could have a JS folder with multiple JavaScript, jQuery, and other subsequent JavaScript files in it. And so it could get really complicated fast, and that's why you learn good directory layouts so that you can create very organized and um, just well-oiled machine type websites. So the way that we connect these files and folders together in our code is actually known as a relative URL. And a relative URL is used to link pages within a website, and it could also be used to link other things, but they provide a shorthand way of telling the browser where to find your files. If all of the files on your site are in one folder, then you simply use the name of that file, and it's really easy to link them together. However, if your site is organized in separate folders or directories, you need to tell the browser how to get from one page that is currently on to the page that you are linking to, so that it's not confused. So here is how you do that. The first one is called a same folder, which is what I just explained. It's where you use the file name in the href. So this example here links a page to the index file in the same folder. So it would be like, for instance, linking the index page to the about page as an example. Then we've got child folder example here, and you use the name of the child folder followed by a / and then the file name. So as an example here, this links the index page to a page in a folder. Okay, so the page that we're linking to is the reviews.html, and it's in the pages folder. We're linking the index file to that, and that's why we would use that line of code. And then lastly, you have the parent folder, and it uses .. to indicate the folder above the current one, and then follow it with the file name. So if you want to go backwards in a directory, you have to use this methodology. So this basically links a page in a folder back to the index page. And so as a result, you notice the file we put was index.html. And this is especially useful for things like the navigation, because obviously you're going to want to need to get back to the original home page, and that's why you would need a parent folder relative URL. Okay, so let's do a project together using HTML. Let's actually do this on our desktop. We have to create a directory first, and then we have to create the index page, the about page, and the news page, and link them all together. So let's actually do that. So on your desktop, right click, select new folder. I'm going to call mine website.com. Inside of website.com, I'm going to right click and hit new folder, CSS, and JS, just like we said in the lesson. Font, IMG, and pages, because this site has multiple pages. All right, so you can see them all there. Then I'm going to open my favorite code editor, which happens to be brackets. Okay, all right, cool. I don't know what all this former stuff was. File new, file save as, and I'm going to save this file to my desktop. Click on website.com. Into the main root folder here, I'm going to save index.html and press save. All right, so now if we pull up our directory structure, we have all these folders, and then we have our index.html file. Okay, so now let's copy the index.html file in there. And again, we'll learn about all this code later. It's just important that we get down the directory structure first. So I copied in the code, and I'm going to press Control S. I did Control C and then Control V to paste it. I'm going to do Control S to save it. Now I have my home page, and if I boot up this home page, what I get is this is the index page. So it's working. All right, so now let's create two more pages. So file new, file save as, and again, I'm going to save this to website.com, but this time I'm going to go into the pages folder instead of our website right there. And I'm going to call this, what did we say we were going to call it? About.html. Okay, and now let's copy in the about.html code. And again, you would have to type this out for yourself. And there we go. I think we're going to need another dot potentially here, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why that's missing, but yeah, we need another dot there. All right, and then we need another one, file new, file save as. I just did two for the sake of having two. You don't have to do two, but news.html, I think was the name of it. Press save. Again, you want to put this code in there. Okay. And Control V, Control S to save. Don't forget to save. If you don't save, the whole thing won't work. So anyway, notice the pages folder now has 2, and we've linked those documents using relative URLs. There they are right there. Okay. So let's open up the index.html file, and there's the home page of our website. Wow, it's really cool. It's really big, right? Just a couple links here. So it goes to the About page, and then there's a link back to the home page, and there's one that goes to the News page, and then there's a link back to the home page. So it works. It navigates between, and the way that we do that is relative URLs. We are navigating between the file structure, if you notice right here, between this main folder and the pages folder, back and forth between it using the code. And so that's kind of how you organize your files into folders, and also how you create a directory structure for HTML, and kind of some naming conventions for your directories. Hopefully this video was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.